Yes, so yes, so Tetenunula Igbos, Tetenunula Nigerians, Tetenunula Yorubas, Tetenunula everyone, Tetenunula. Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, IOM family. Good evening and welcome to In Our Mind Talk Show. Yes, tonight, we are continuing on International Women's Rights Part 2, and we will be focusing on the Nigerian Senate. We are focusing on the Nigerian Senate and particularly on the controversy between Natasha versus Akpabio, yes. The controversy between Natasha and Akpabio. And our speakers tonight is no other than Barrister Godfrey, your Barrister Godfrey, and also Madam Majorie. They are here tonight. We will be hearing from them. Also, one of our speakers is no other than your pioneer admin, Abel James. He is also here at the back of the scene. He is on the phone conference call with Madam Majorie. So can I ask you, starting from Madam Majorie, to say hello to the family members, please? Madam Majorie.
Good evening. Welcome to a beautiful week. It's our mind. It's in my mind because my destiny is definitely. Thank you.
Fantastic. You know, you have gotten this right. You really got it right. Thank you very much, Madam Majorie. And can we ask Abel to also, you can mute, yes. Abel, can you please greet the family members?
In our mind, always in my mind, and my destiny is in my hands. Good evening, family members. Good evening, those who are watching us all over the world. Good evening. Welcome to today's talk show. Sit tight and enjoy the moment. Feel free to contribute your own quota.
Fantastic.
We want to liberate ourselves from mental slavery. Thank you.
Fantastic. That is amazing. Thank you very much. And Barrister Godfrey, do you want to say hello to the family members? And it's time to start learning our slogan. Barrister Godfrey.
Yes. Good evening, in our mind family members. We are here again today to continue what we started earlier on. And we promise to do our best to do justice to the issue at stake.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yes, you can mute. After talking, you can mute. I've muted you. Okay, I didn't mute you. Oh, yes. Fantastic. So, family members, I want to once again say good evening. Good evening to each and every one of you. Good evening and welcome to tonight's discussion on the topic. The topic of discussion is a topic that has packed significant debate globally, all over the world. It is the trending news everywhere in the world, even here in UK. Yes, the trending case between Senator Natasha Akpabio and Senate President Godswill Akpabio, which has truly, this case has exposed the critical issue of one, gender inequality in Nigeria. Secondly, this case has also exposed the high rates of poverty in Nigeria. Yes, this case has also exposed the violence against women in Nigeria, but most especially, this case has exposed the challenges the ordinary Nigerian men face in everyday life in Nigeria. I repeat, most especially, it has also exposed the challenges ordinary Nigerian men that are not in the hands of affair is facing in their everyday life. What do I mean? First of all, the Senate, the Nigerian Senate, in its current state, has failed in its constitutional duties due to the high rate of corruption. The Nigerian Senate has failed in its constitutional duties due to executive presidential control. The Nigerian Senate in its current state has failed due to lack of accountability. Most importantly, the Nigerian Senate have failed because the ordinary Nigerian people, like yourselves and myself, have failed to hold them accountable for their actions. Instead of serving the Nigerian people, many senators focus on personal enrichment, embezzlement of funds, and silencing the opposition and minority. For example, in 2019, a senator was accused of diverting half a billion naira meant for a road project in his constituency. Yet, we are complaining, oh, there is bad roads all over the places. Yet, we cannot hold them accountable to utilize money budgeted for roads, and rather we allow them to embezzle the money and we go worship them to give us penny from money meant for the Nigerian people. What about the 2021 case where the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission uncovered about 3 million family members, 3 million fraud case involving school feeding program? Who embezzled it? The Nigerian lawmakers. The Nigerian lawmakers. This is not a case of Natasha and Akpabio. In fact, this case, as I said earlier, has exposed a lot of atrocities. A lot of atrocities has been exposed. We need to utilize this case to accelerate action for Nigerian people and Nigerian women. For Nigeria to progress, Nigerians must hold their lawmakers accountable through election activism, as we are doing, demanding legislative transparency. And until that happens, the Senate will continue to serve their selfish interests rather than the Nigerian people. As we dive into today's topic, I want to urge each and every family member, Oluwaseufumi, I want to call upon you. It is time to hold your Senate and the Nigerian government accountable for their action. I want to call upon you, Lolo Joy. You have a voice. Speak up and speak out. I want to call upon you, Christiana. Christiana, you need to speak up. If every Nigerian starts picking up Habiba, if every Nigerian like Sinabola start protesting, if every Nigerian like Umi Ismail starts to question the government, they will begin to be accountable to the Nigerian public. So, as before I go on, I need to call upon the speakers, starting with Abel James, our pioneer admin, to give us a brief historical overview of Senator Natasha and the issue with her surrounding her suspension. Abel James, can you unmute and give us historical overview of Senator Natasha?
All right, good evening once again, family members. Good evening, Nurse Angel. Good evening, our special guests. Natasha Akpoti Udoanga has been someone characterized by struggle. Her political life has been characterized by struggles. She has been struggling from when she started her political career in Kogi State, that is Kogi Central. She contested for Senate in 2019, she lost under PDP. She contested for governorship that same year, that is like 4 months after the general election. She contested for governorship under SDP. She couldn't emerge victorious because of various factors. Now in 2023, she contested. She joined the People's Democratic Party and contested for to represent her good people of Kogi Central. Now, in that year, she fought a very, I would call it the strongest battle in Kogi as a whole, because she was fighting against the incumbent governor, who is Yahya Bello. And the battle against Yahya Bello, the governor of Kogi State, actually showcased Natasha's determination to fight for justice and equality. She faced numerous challenges during that period because she was actually the best candidate in Kogi Central. The people love her, women love her, men love her, children, youth. In fact, she was the face of Kogi Central during that contest. Now, the governor who wasn't happy with her contest and the love she received from people brought in his own person to contest for that same political party, for that same seat. And the person he brought under the APC fought Natasha. You know, during that election, the stronghold of Natasha, they used caterpillar to dig holes, very deep holes that people cannot pass. Even electoral material could not, the electoral officers could not access Natasha's community. That is every stronghold where she has, people love her, people are supporting her. They kind of created barriers for people, for electoral materials to cross to her place. Natasha was winning in Ajokuta local government, but you know the electoral officers were force was used against them, and they declared a result which was not hers. You understand? The electoral umpire, they use Yabelo used might and ensure that the result was called in his own candidate's favor. And with her own strong strength and determination, she was able to go for. She was able to appeal. She went to court, and by God's grace, the court gave her victory at. After 1 year, the court gave her victory, declared her the winner, and Senate now announced her and they kind of did orientation and confirmed her as a senator representing Kogi Central. Now, Natasha, as a senator, she has achieved remarkable feats because she empowered a lot of her constituents. And that earned her a lot of respect. Her videos went viral of the things she was able to do. She shared Keke Napep to so many persons, sewing machines, and a lot of things. Natasha was able to champion a mega project, the CNG project, which she drawn to Kogi State. And all this, she was able to bring Melekari and other top government officials to Kogi Central to launch this thing, the CNG. You understand?
Yeah.
Natasha was able to do a lot of things. She paid scholarship to students. She gave widows a lot of empowerment to start businesses. She has done a lot of things. She is a voice to the voiceless. And this issue that is happening to Natasha is not today it started. Natasha was abused. She was abused. They gave her all manner of abuse because she is a woman fighting for her people. She was called all kinds of names that I don't want to mention here.
Mention it. Mention it.
She was called a harlot,
Of
a
course,
prostitute
that is
during the electioneering campaign. Those in the other side were calling her all manner of names. That she married somebody from Delta State, she's going to take away all the good things in Delta State, but she proved them wrong. Natasha Akpabio was able to do all these things in Kogi Central. Never in the history of the nation have we ever had a senator who has done what Natasha did in terms of empowerment. She empowered her people, her constituents. You know, Natasha was abused, insulted. She was even assaulted. She had lots of injuries. The people, she was slapped by rogues and political thugs. She was humiliated. Most of her campaign posters were torn, destroyed. Even some of her campaign boys were beaten, and some, I know, she had some that were killed. Some were kidnapped. Today, we cannot. They couldn't be. They can't be found. All these things. This woman stood firm. In what? Her support was the people of Kogi Central. And now her support is transcending the shores of this country, is going global, because she's standing for the rights of the women. And a lot of people feel Natasha is emotional about this, Natasha is emotional about... Emotions is part of humans. Every humans have emotions. Yes, she spoke against the Senate president rudely, but if you don't, you know, I usually tell people, mess no, they come out just like that. Now, pressure from stomach, they make noise. If not, anus is very, very innocent. Anus no, they like to make noise. But when pressure press your stomach, before you know, anus don't pollute. That is what happened to Natasha Akpabio. They tried to suppress this woman.
So, Abel, are you still there? Thank you very much for the background history. Now, on the day of suspension, do you know if Natasha was pre-warned, as in informed about the change of seats, seats reallocation? Do you want to brief us just a bit? We know that a lot of people are aware of the information. Just a little, maybe 1 more minute to tell us about the seat reallocation.
The seat reallocation, according to them, you know, the deputy chief whip of the Senate, one Mr. Nwabonyi, what we call Nwabonyi, you know, he was allegedly said the reason Natasha is angry because they changed her seat, and she said that seat that she usually sit is where she her preferred seat. Now, in the Senate, I know they allocate seats, and if you remember, Natasha came almost a year after some months after election, because she went to court. Now, when she came, she was given the local content to chair the committee. That's the local content committee, which the former senator chaired. The senator who left the seat. That's the senator who declared loser of that election. You understand? Now, when she came, she was given the local content and as well the seats for her to sit. Usually, before the change of seat, the Senate usually notify all senators that we have changed. The sergeant of arm will be notified also that these seats have been changed because they now have a tag on each seat. Now she, according to her, she wasn't informed. She only came and sat on her seat, and when she wanted making contribution, they said she cannot make contribution from that seat until she goes to her seat legally, that the seat that the Senate has reallocated her, then she can be allowed to make her own contribution. And now she felt a lot of things were bothering her. Anytime she wants to make contribution, they don't allow her. Anytime she raised her hands to make contribution, they don't allow her. And she spoke out. She said, please, Senate President, can you allow me to speak? He said, you cannot sit here. We cannot listen to you until you go to your seat. She shouted, talked, called her own order, the legislative order, whatever, order number 10 or what? Sorry, I'm
order
getting
10, order 10 of privileges,
which allowed her to make her case. But they keep shouting on her that no, she cannot make her case. And there and then, the Senate President didn't even take it. He didn't even ask the Committee on Ethics and Privileges to summon her or anything. There and then he said, you are hereby suspended. Without hearing her, without hearing anything, he said she's suspended. And later on, the committee sat again and they invited her. When they invited her to go to the committee, she had already been informed that this committee will not hear your own part. You understand? And then she went to Arise TV and announced to Arise TV the reason the Senate President is giving her this tough time. You know, and one of the reasons she said is he sexually abused her. And she said she had so very many evidence that we are still waiting. You know, she doesn't want to display the evidence, believing that she will tender all this evidence in the court. So we expected the Senate President, when she was saying that, for the Senate President to say, okay, please, this case for her own unruly behavior, as the Senate now claimed that was the reason they suspended her. We expected the Senate to have sat with her and listened to her, then listen to her own allegations and all the petitions she brought before them. Let them at least listen to her, then question the Senate President. The Senate President is not above the law. He too can be questioned, because Saraki, during his tenure as the Senate President, when he had a case with CCT, Code of Conduct Bureau, he stepped aside. It was his deputy that was presiding over the Senate, and he was always going to the courts. So Akpabio should have, the Senate President should have at least, even if he didn't resign, he should have, even if he didn't hand over the Senate to his deputy, he should have at least present himself before the Ethics and Privileges Committee. Let them hear his own side of the story, hear Natasha. From there, then they can decide. But for him to have announced the suspension even before hearing her, that means it was premeditated, you know. So when the Committee for Ethics and Privileges sat and they said they have suspended her because for her unruly behavior, that she didn't stand when the Senate was coming in, and all these things they just said, it's just a flimsy excuses. We want them to listen to her. Let them call the Senate President, call her as well. And then the most disgusting thing was when the Senate minority chief whip went to the TV station and was saying Natasha is a serial blackmailer, that she has 6 children for 6 different men.
No problem.
No
problem. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Abel. I know it's almost 30 minutes gone. You have really spoken passionately and well spoken. Thank you very much for your contribution and reminding us of how we got to where we are. You can mute.
Yes, please. I want to say this last thing, please, before I mute.
Go on.
The fight for Natasha, family members, and everybody listening, it is not the fight for woman. It's not a woman fight. Fantastic. It is not. We are fighting against injustice. Fantastic. It is not a woman or feminine or feminism or anything. No, we are fighting against injustice. For any accusation, they should allow the two parties to at least speak up. Allow people to speak up. Don't press people's right to speak out. Please, it is not a fight for womanhood or whatever. It is a fight for justice, and this injustice shall not be sustained. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for adding that. I will say it is a big fight. The fight for Natasha is a big fight. It encompasses everything and anything. Injustice to humanity, the inequality for women, the plight of the ordinary man. It is the disabled not allowed to present themselves. This fight for Natasha is a big fight for the nation. In fact, it's not just for Nigerian nation. It's also, I wanted to ask him, but he's disappeared. It's also a fight for the women in Africa as well as a global thing. Yes, I'm happy you're back. Thank you very much for coming back. Barrister Godfrey, before I come to my Dr. Majorie, I know she's trying to talk, but we'll ask her a question. Barrister, coming from a legal perspective with your legal eyes, I'm not saying you are aware of this particular case. That's not what I'm saying. But from your legal understanding as a barrister, yes, we've been told Natasha was suspended for gross misconduct, gross unruly behavior, gross this and gross that. Let us agree, for the benefit of argument. I know that Natasha was simply standing and saying, order this, and talking while standing. She was well composed. I know that the current president's wife, this president's wife, when she was a senator, she was fighting it out. We've seen her video where she is doing karate, boxing on the floor. And I will say, in comparison to Natasha, or rather, if you compare Natasha's case to the wife of the current president, you will bow for Natasha for composure. You will bow for her. Yet, women have the audacity to come out and say how unruly she was, when we have seen men raise chairs and they are hitting, fighting, when they are saying order, quiet. People are fighting, women are boxing, but Natasha is just raising her hand and pleading to be heard. Now, let's agree that she had the worst gross case on the Senate floor. Barrister, does the Nigerian Constitution allow Senate President or Senate Committee on Ethics or Senate whatever it is to suspend a sitting elected senator, to suspend them for 6 months, cutting away their security, taking away their salary and what have you? Is that acceptable by the Nigerian Constitution? And also, is it permissible by the Senate Order Book? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will go straight to the point without beating about the bush. There is no such provision in our Constitution and in the Senate orders. What the Senate orders provides is suspension for 2 weeks, 14 days, not more than that. The 6-month suspension meted out on Natasha Akpabio is quite illegal. It is outside the jurisdiction of the Senate because it goes contrary to what the law says. And to the extent of that inconsistent, it is null and void. No court will uphold it. It is of no effect. Now, coming to the so-called punishment meted out to Natasha, for God's sake, she has every right to present her case. I would have expected that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, to have recused himself from the matter. He ought to have stepped aside, let an independent body handle the matter. His deputy could have stepped in, handled the matter, and maybe meted whatever punishment, if any, that Natasha Akpabio deserves. But as far as I'm concerned, to the best of my knowledge, information, she doesn't deserve the treatment that was given to her. And again, on the issue of having her seat moved without her knowledge, that one is outrageous. you must inform her beforehand, look, your seat is being changed to so location. What is behind that? Nobody knows. Is it because she's a woman? You can push her around anyhow? That's not what our law says. And when she was invoking the provisions of Order 10, what prevented the Senate from listening to her? Because that guarantees her right to freely express herself in matters that concern her. So what led to her being shut out of the whole proceeding? Because Order 10 ought to have been respected, having been invoked by a sitting senator. So I believe, I'm now coming as a human being, that she is simply being muzzled up for reasons best known to them. I'm not in the Senate. I don't know what they have in mind. But for her to have been shut out like that smacks of outright wickedness, I would say. Maybe there's a kind of political vendetta being given to her. Because in legal parlance, we have what we call aldi alteram partem. That means that you must hear the other side to the case.
Oh.
She has not been heard. And the other arm to the law is nemo judex in causa sua. You cannot be a judge in your own cause. So the Senate president was and is wrong for having sat on the matter concerning him, involving him, and meting out punishment. That is wrong. Every court of law of competent jurisdiction will definitely throw whatever decision they have given overboard. So Natasha was right to have rejected that seat because she was not pre-informed about it. Rather, she was told, you cannot talk to us from here, where she had been sitting since she joined the Senate. Was due process followed in that matter? Did they do the right thing? Did they afford her the opportunity to present whatever she felt was her case? It was not done. So I believe there's a political game being played there, and we shouldn't be in the apex chamber of our legislature. The Senate, being the highest lawmaking body, ought to know better than what they are doing. It is very appalling. Thank you very much.
Wow, well spoken. Thank you very much, and thank you for muting. Now I will come to the woman that has been begging, crying to talk about the case of Natasha. I want to come to you, Madam Marjorie, but before I ask you your question, I want to remind you that this case of Natasha versus Akpabio has shedded a lot of light on the influencing factors of our male dominating society, which often unites men. I repeat, our society often unites men and divide women. This is because, Madam Marjorie, history has shown that women have been dependent on men. Women have been dependent on men for financial and social support due to the patriarchal structure that limits women access to education, employment, and property. This dependency has often influenced women's choices and alliance, making it challenging for women to support each other. My question to you now, Madam Marjorie, is this. Is Senator Natasha's case, is Senator Natasha's suspension an attack on Nigerian women in politics? How common is sexual harassment in Nigerian politics? And why do women shut up when they are being sexually harassed? Madam Marjorie.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity again. I want to thank our primary admin for that very incisive historical perspective on distinguished Senator Natasha Akpabio and her trajectory. I also thank our legal luminary for that concise, direct, and honest assessment of the situation. Is Senator Natasha Akpabio's ordeal an attack on women? I would say no. It's rather an attack on humanity. It's an attack at the fundamental rights of human beings. But on the other hand again, I would say yes, because she's first a human, and then she belongs to the cluster group of humanity known as womanhood, women. So having said that, I would like us not to look at Senator Natasha Akpabio's ordeal in the Nigerian Senate as an isolated matter, not to give it a gender coloration, even though it is inevitable given her sexual harassment allegations. But look at it holistically, as it effectively eliminates a voice of a critical mass in the political and sociocultural life of Nigeria as a country. Having said that, I would like to say straight up that the Nigerian state as we know it today is a continuous crime scene and a gangster's paradise. The Nigerian state that we know today, that we are experiencing, that we're living in, that is our reality, is a continuous crime scene and a gangster's paradise. Only the smart and connected politically criminals can survive and swim in the political and social space that is called Nigeria. So anybody with the audacity, with the passion, with the capacity of a Senator Natasha Akpabio will be shut down, will be pulled down, will be cut off. That's the reality of the present Nigeria. Now, for those who are not strong enough, for those who are not alpha, especially if they are females, they have no other option but to submit to whatever advances, be it sexual, political, or otherwise. Whatever the men are asking of her, of course, the women will submit. And about the coloration, about the gender coloration, this conversation is getting, I think, is a strategy intended to deviate from the core issues that this ordeal, this travesty has thrown up. It has thrown up that there is a cabal in the Senate. It has thrown up that people can just make up laws and rules as they go, that some people are bigger and above the existing rules and laws. It has thrown up the total lack of order and cohesion and leadership of the Senate and the Nigerian system and structure and political class. It has also shown that the Senate, as it exists right now, is a rudderless criminal enterprise. And that is what should worry every Nigerian, irrespective of gender divide. Now, I was listening to the narrative on Natasha, and reading about Natasha throughout all this, something caught my attention. We heard our primary admin, reel out all the trials she went through to become a senator. He didn't tell us that Senator Natasha, during the last election, the road leading to her district, where she has her strongest power block, her supporters, was excavated. A whole road was excavated to prevent her from campaigning in her strongest base. A whole road was excavated. What form of human life abuse is that? And amazing excuse, they really as an excuse to prevent that they were that was much as this is laughable. That sentence a man who was protecting himself to prevent terrorist attack on a senator who was on the election time now goes ahead right now in this present day also to sentence a man to death. The Supreme Court sentenced Sunday Jackson to death on March 7th because he killed who attacked him in his own place. He missed to kill him, and he, in self-defense, he defeated his talent. He's being sentenced to death. That is a Nigerian state. This man is not female, and he is not, definitely not Senator Natasha Uduaga. Now we can go on and on. A youth copper, a female youth copper, cried out that she was getting 33,000 instead of the fully advertised 17,000 naira. And the situation of living in camp is quite terrible and unbearable. That this government is terrible. And the NYSC came all out to pull this girl down and hound her, making it very clear that she does not have the right to speak. And they've gone ahead to send us certain messages, one of which is they sent us their rule book. They quickly updated it and are doing very hush-hush work. But I thank God that the human rights community have risen. But I would rather that we're proactively engaging these things. Because what am I trying to say? In this space, this happenings, all of this is between the last 3 weeks and this week. And we have been faced with all of these controversies in a country that the standard of living is continually falling, and women are listed amongst the most vulnerable, and their children, and of course their people are losing jobs. So the political class have weaponized poverty, dispatched it, and are selectively using it as a tool to neutralize effective opponents, effective voices in the space. And unfortunately, our people, especially women, have not prioritized the building of support systems. We must build support systems that is based on human tenets, on the rule of law, that is prioritized on those tenets, and not just about these females. It will be a plus if the support systems and groups are of gender connotation are quite strong. But on the conversation of Senator Natasha Uduaga, we have seen women shamefully being in the fore of supporting the warped narrative of Akpabio. We have seen women rise, and it's very clear that those women are women who have gotten favors and who are only protecting their stomach. And that's a narrative we must move away from. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that submission. Before I come to you, Barrister, I saw a disturbing comment. I must call it disturbing. And I want to say this. Please, when I have noticed from Natasha's case, I have seen a lot of men do similar things. When a man is assertive, he is seen as a brave man. When a woman is assertive, she is seen as an aggressive woman. When a man in leadership role, he is seen as authoritative. When a woman is in leadership role, she is seen as domineering. When a man, Madam Majorie, when a man is ambitious, he is seen as, he's praised and encouraged. When a woman is ambitious, she's seen as threatening and very, very overbearing. When a man is, like, how will I put it? Men are typically judged not on their dressing, but on their abilities. Women are judged on their appearance. Men prioritize career. They are seen as dedicated professionals. Oh my God, this guy is dedicated in his duty for prioritizing career. When a woman prioritizes or even is pursuing a career, she is seen as neglecting her family responsibility. When a woman dresses in a certain way, she is seen as promiscuous. When a man dresses in the same way, he is seen as a stylish masculine man. When a woman is vocal, she's a kind of shamed. If she's vocal about her sexuality, she is told she's a prostitute. When men are vocal about their sexuality, they are praised and honored. A successful woman is seen as having slept her way up. A successful man is celebrated. I saw a comment from, I love Emmanuel Akpan. Emmanuel Akpan said, regarding the sexual harassment claim by Senator Natasha, he said, was there no green light? You see, he said, was there no green light from her that made the Senate president to have the courage to approach her? Is quite a worrisome statement. That is not to say that women, she may not have done that. But Barrister Godfrey, I had different questions for you. But from what Emmanuel said, a lot of Nigerians, I have watched the telly. Formerly, I don't watch news. But with this trend, what is happening, I have started watching the news. And I am like, every time I drink paracetamol, I'm always taking paracetamol after watching Nigerian news. I take paracetamol because I have headache. When they are talking about a case of sexual harassment, I hear men saying it's toasting. Sexual harassment, some people define it as toasting. Barrister, I know you were not prepared for me to ask you this question. Can you differentiate for the benefit of the audience between sexual harassment and toasting? Barrister.
Thank you very much. Well, toasting, to the best of my knowledge, and from what I heard as a young man growing up in the university, secondary school, is just the manner of the approach a man makes to a woman, a girl, trying to convince her to be his girlfriend, because that's the commonest. Sexual harassment has to do with trying to subject that woman to the point that she succumbs to the sexual overtures, or she is made to suffer some unpleasant consequences.
Fantastic.
The two are not the same. You can approach a girl, hey babe, I love you, can we be friends? And she can tell you no. That one, to my mind, is not sexual harassment. But when you make it mandatory that she must agree to what you are proposing to her sexually, otherwise she suffers inconvenience, that is sexual harassment.
Let me add something to what you said.
Right.
Sexual harassment, in most cases, is done by those in authority. For instance, your employer. If you are an employee, your employer can demand sex of you. And if you refuse, they deal with you. They will not promote you when others are being promoted. They will be threatening you. And that is called sexual harassment. It is not about giving green light and going. That is about, okay, I like you. Do I, like you said, sexual harassment as a Senate president, I'm not saying he's sexually abused or not. I'm telling you a typical example of sexual harassment. If he is the Senate president and she is a senator and he has the right, the authority and the authority to allocate seats, to do this, to accept and assign things, and if he asks her out or any woman out, and if she says no, in his position of authority, he can use it to frustrate that person until they succumb and sleep with him. If he does that, that is called sexual harassment. It has absolutely nothing to do with a man toasting a woman or a woman giving a man green light. What is that? When someone says, and that is why Nigerians, we have not really gotten it. When a woman is crying in the universities, Emmanuel, I can give you an example, a typical example that you will relate with. In universities, you see female students, sometimes male students with all these other gender things happening. You will see a young girl. The lecturer will say to them in his position of authority, come and sleep with me or you will not pass my course. That is called sexual harassment. If this lecturer went to the girl to say, I like you, and she says no, he said, okay, that is toasting. It's not sexual harassment. Harassment is using your authority to frustrate, as the barrister said, frustrate and pressurize the person to give in. That is sexual harassment. It is a crime. It is a crime. Yes or no, barrister?
I would not say it's a crime or it's not a crime, because when we talk, we make reference to the law books. And anything that is not stated in the law book, you cannot just tag it and just whatever that is in the law. But what I have to say to this is, for a man in authority to sexually harass a woman, whether verbally or physically, if it is physical, that becomes a crime. Verbally, of course, you can call it a vulgar abuse or whatever. You can try to defame her by tagging her and whatever you like, and then you'll be liable. So for Natasha Akpabio to allege, I would say, is still an allegation which has not been substantiated. It becomes something concrete once there's substance to it. For her to have alleged that the Senate president sexually harassed her, it shows that there's more to it. It is not just ordinary verbal toasting. Even if she had given him green light, that one is not enough to sexually harass her. So it shows that something is happening. I would have preferred a situation where Natasha will come out boldly to state what the Senate president did to her. Because for now, we have been hearing sexual harassment, but nobody knows exactly what transpired. If the thing is exposed, it will add more weight to what is happening. And that will ensure that the Senate president must leave that position and answer for whatever that is being called to answer. Because he cannot stay there and at the same time preside over illegality. The Senate is the highest lawmaking body that we have. And if the head is rotten, tell me what the other parts will do. Yeah.
Just to add, I did a quick Google because I know it is. So I'll read out the UK one and read out the Nigerian one regarding sexual harassment, and I'll come to Madam Majorie. Sexual harassment is an unwanted behavior of a sexual nature. The Law Equality Act 2010 protects the following people against sexual harassment: employees and workers, contractors and self-employed people. So look at where I wanted to read. Both stalking and harassment are offenses under the Protection from Harassment Act. They are crimes and we take it very seriously. Now, you don't need to additionally to you physical, even if you're stalking and harassing people, they see it as a crime. In Nigeria, the Criminal Code, Section 360, any person who unlawfully and incidentally assaults a woman or girl is guilty of misdemeanor and is liable to imprisonment for 2 years. The Criminal Code is applicable in the southern part of Nigeria, and it contains provision criminalizing the offense of sexual harassment. They criminalize the offense. However, in Nigeria, not everybody know about sexual harassment until you are physically raped. I'm telling you, we are all Nigerians. We are all Nigerians. You will be walking on the street, like you said, physical. A man will hit your buttocks, and you turn to say, they say, get out, you like him, come out. You the enjoyer. You are being sexually harassed, and nothing happens because it is the order of the day. So on that note, I don't know if you want to say something before I speak to Madam Majorie. Do you have something to say?
Just a few words.
Okay.
The problem we have with sexual harassment in Nigeria is proof.
Oh.
That's the only thing. Outside rape, the
Which
verbal sexual harassment is difficult to prove. So, because it's usually your word against mine.
True.
Except maybe when you have a
phone conversation.
Exactly.
Sometimes we have stuff on the phone telling you to meet them in this hotel. Like a lot of people have set people up in that. So yes, it's difficult to prove, but once in a while we see. In fact, let's be honest. Sometimes it's easy to prove. It is, but people don't want to put themselves forward. Sometimes you have the evidence. You have the evidence of harassment, sexual harassment, but you are looking around. If I come out, the shame will be on you. They say, all those kind of things. So let me come to you, Madam Majorie. I want to ask you, I know Barrister can also help us with this, but I know you're in the forefront. How common, Madam Majorie, is sexual harassment in, I don't know if I've asked you this question, but let me ask you again. How common is sexual harassment in Nigeria? How common is it, and why do people not speak up when they are sexually harassed?
It happens per second per minute in Nigeria. It's that common. A young girl finds it difficult to go through the markets and walk through the markets. You've said it, they will be pinching at her arm, pulling her breasts. Some girls run out of that market crying, and it's done so brazenly, and people laugh, even women that are in the market. If you object, they will tell you,
say it in English.
If you object and try to push them away, women and mature people, not young people, will tell you, just be going, you're not the only one. This is what happens here. Be on your way. They will be doing it. At times they will just be rising from their prayers and they will be doing it. They will give you cat calls, is not enough. They will pinch your bottom.
Sorry, what is cat calls? What? Which one? Which one is
when
that?
They whistle. When they whistle, a girl will be passing. They will be whistling and making all those cat and animal sounds. Things like that,
Okay.
When they do things like that, I don't know if I was loud enough.
Yes.
That's cat calls. And then when the girl resists, like you just read some differences between characteristics and depicted by men, it's seen as an advantage, but by women, it becomes a negative thing. By men, it's a positive thing, but by women, it's a negative thing. I've had young ladies lash out at these men, and other people come not to even help the young woman who's been harassed, but to reinforce the harassment and ask you why you expect to be treated differently. It happens brazenly in our marketplaces. In our public transport system, it does happen. And you have talked enough about what happens in our universities and schools. Just last week, we saw what happened with a lecturer and how they abuse students, irrespective of gender, in this situation. But it is so prevalent as the air that we breathe. Oh. That is why somebody can come up and say that somebody gave somebody a green light. I have daughters who don't like the marketplace, who don't want anything to do with the markets. It is that bad. It is that bad. They will say you're their doctor's prescription. They will say that you're their spec. And mothers have taught daughters to just ignore and block your ears. When people are pinching all your sensitive parts and pulling you and making very guttural animal sounds. That's one. Why do people not prosecute these crimes? Why do people not come up to prosecute or for prosecution or mention them? Instructively, Barrister responded that you need evidence to prove these crimes. And I like what you said, Nofangel. You said it's not because of lack of evidence, which is very true and correct. Why do I mention this? Yesterday, I was still in the field by this time. I was faced with a child of 9, a boy child this time, who allege that their neighbor and her mother's very close friend and their family very close friend, they eat, they do everything in this young lady's apartment, was sexually molesting him, was touching his sensitive parts and asking him to suck her breasts.
Oh, dear me.
He liked this boy and all those things. So right there at that moment, I realized we're handicapped. Now, this young man, the way he tells it, you can see is the truth. This young child. And the mother was shattered because she loves this young lady. She felt they were family. They go to their communities. This one is from Akpabio, this one is an Igbo family. And they visit each other even in their hometown. Now, whilst we're doing all that intervention, something just clicked in my head. I noticed that there was a reluctance, even in the men, to get the perpetrator, who is female, arrested. And started asking very funny questions. But right there in my head, a bulb went off. What was it? Which medical examination will go to prove that this child was
Sexually
assaulted? Yes, because he was male. I felt so caged. I don't know. I felt like I was being strangled. But there again, how did the family notice that something was wrong? This is an exuberant child, we're told, very active. The younger sister, a child herself, says she observed that he didn't want to play. They used to drag him and say, stop playing. He didn't want to play. He was not eating. He had voracious energy, appetite, everything. That is an outgoing child. But all of a sudden, all that died. And I asked them, between last year, when this sister noticed these changes, what happened with his schoolwork? They said he began to drop. He's an early student, pupil in school. He started to drop. So these are all indicators. But for the untrained eye, and I know the Nigerian courts, they're not going to ask this. They're going to take them through a route and tell you that there is no way you can prove it. There's no CCTV. There's no that. There's no that. But we all know that person's story is real and it's true, and these things are happening. I think that rather what should happen is that the Nigerian legal system should come out of the doldrums. It is so much steeped in a Latin reality, in a pre-colonialistic tradition that has no place in our present reality. I think it is time they innovated to mirror the real legal needs and issues of the people, to really serve the people and not be too elitist. Because the judiciary and of course by extension the legal profession has shown that it has failed Nigerians, failed us consistently, and is one of the bane of our problem. Because you should see lawyers coming out in their draw pro bono, we're going to drag this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But it's not happening. It doesn't happen.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madam Major.
Everybody's wanting to be given a book.
Thank you very much. Let me ask the barrister the last question, then we'll wind up. I know this, we have not really dealt on it, but before I ask you the question, family, I want to post, I'm putting a post. Family, we have a petition. IOM have started a petition for justice for women in Nigeria and justice for the ordinary people as well. So I am calling on you to please sign the petition Very, very important petition. Please sign the petition. Sign the petition. Give it to your friends to sign. We are going to have a contest on this petition. We need to get a lot of people to sign it. We need to get to the amount that will make this petition to be heard. Okay. Before I go, or before we go, I want to say to Barrister, thank you very much. I have a question for you. Madam Majorie has talked about the corrupt system, the corrupt judiciary, and we all are aware of it. I know, including yourself. The question now is, Barrister, I have 3 questions. You can answer it as one. One of them is, has the Nigerian legal system ever overturned a senator's suspension? Could Natasha challenge this decision successfully? So my question is, has the Nigerian legal system overturned a senator's long suspension of more than 14 days? If yes, can Senator Natasha challenge her own decision? Number 2 is, if Nigerian courts are compromised, because even if they have cases in history, we heard that this current administration is powerful, and even the Senate president gives out mail. They say, check your mailbox. If the Nigerian courts are compromised, should cases like that of Natasha be taken to international courts like ECOWAS or the United Nations? And lastly, do you think that international pressure can force Nigerian Senate to reinstate Natasha?
I will answer those 3 questions in no particular order. Right. About Natasha being reinstated. Recourse has to be had to what the law says. For as long as what was done to her contradicts the law, the Supreme Court, whatever court, is aware of what the law provides in such matters. So I cannot tell you that it must go this way or that way, because as far as I'm concerned, the matter is sub judice right now, is before the court of competent jurisdiction. So I cannot readily comment on what the outcome might be. But I know that the courts are being manned by competent judges who know what the law says. And I have that strong belief that they will do justice according to the law. And the justice we pray for is a reinstatement, having been unjustly excluded from the hallowed chamber. That's the justice we are expecting. But whether the court will do it or not is a matter for the courts. Right. Now, on the issue of taking the matter to the international community, it is not out of place if such a matter is exposed, because once it is exposed, pressure will be brought to bear on the appropriate authorities to do the proper thing. We all know what happens in Nigeria. So many things are swept under the carpet and nothing happens because the wrong people are at the particular positions where they shouldn't be. So, but if what they are doing is exposed, I am sure they will be forced to do the right thing. On whether a senator has been reinstated, Alain Dume was suspended for some time and later reinstated, but I didn't quite follow the matter up. I didn't follow it, so I cannot readily say what transpired there, but it's a clear case of a senator being suspended and later reinstated. So I didn't follow up the matter, and I lack the capacity to make any concrete comment on it for now. Thank
Fantastic.
You. Right.
Thank you. So I think I am happy, and I would like us to close. Senator Natasha's case is not just a woman issue. I repeat, Senator Natasha's case is not just a woman issue. It's a underprivileged issue. It is a minority issue. If women are minority group, yes, it is a woman's group issue. If people from other ethnic groups are minority, yes, it's an ethnic issue. If men that are not rich, maybe let me say hardworking men and that are not in politics and influential are minority in Nigeria in terms of they are not in the helms of affair, yes, it's a man issue. If the disabled people in Nigeria are a minority, yes, it's a disability issue. What I am trying to say this night is a call for justice for Natasha is a call for justice for Nigerian people. It is not just a call for a woman issue. Do not make it a gender issue, because we have seen that even women are we saw a lot of placard. Women group. Madam Majori, last time I asked you if women groups are doing their job as women group, or are they just there to get money? You say they are trying. Well, we saw recently, I was looking at news, I just started watching news. We saw women group with placard. We stand with Akpabio. I'm like, on what? What are you standing with Akpabio for? As against a case you've not had yet, you're standing with Akpabio. But I'm happy. Let me ask you this question lastly, then we close. Madam Majori, just like Barrister said, it's good to take it over above board. Do you think, Madam Majori, that this international exposure is going to bring justice for Natasha?
Yes, I think more people that are involved in this conversation, the better. We should take it out of the Nigerian space where they can tamper with it. Of course, the tampering has started, and muscle it up and give it very confused coloration. They have the money, they have the media to do and undo. So with the international exposure the conversation has gotten, we will see better administration of the process, justice process. We will see a more transparent, accountable process, and thinking more inclusive, and most importantly, a process that will transmit justice for Nigerian marginalized minorities, especially women and the groups you have listed. I think it's a good development. Who wouldn't want, it's only a bad person or somebody who's involved in a negative thing that will want things to be hush-hush and quickly done behind the scene. Are they not doing it in the eyes of the whole world? So let the international community be involved. Let them be involved, and let us do this in a transparent and accountable manner. Yes, the involvement is very good and is a positive development. Kudos to Senator Natasha Akpabio. I have never seen a more courageous woman. Like you said, she has conducted herself in a very, very good and top-class manner, giving all the provocation and the temper. She had been excellent. In fact, she's a study in composure, given the provocations and affronts. So it's good, and I welcome it, and I support the move. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We need to close. Family members, continue to sign the petition. We will be telling you I'll make a video regarding the petition and how we are going to do a contest on it. We need you to push this petition to be signed by everyone you know. Push the petition. Justice for Natasha is justice for the ordinary Nigerian. I repeat, justice for Natasha is justice for Nigerian men and women. And on that note, I want to hear, Barrister, what is your closing statement? Then we'll close. Are you ready to dance, Barrister? Tete Nonola.
my own dancing will be my response.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So what I have to say as a closing remark is that if we continue pushing for our rights, we'll definitely get there. We shouldn't allow anything to be swept under the carpet, because by the next time you open that carpet, you will not believe what you will see there. So the earlier you open that carpet and flush that thing out, the better. Nigeria has been suffering a lot of illegality and injustices for quite a long time now. And I believe the time is now ripe for people to speak up. If you don't speak up, you'll be time to have slept on your rights. And the illegality and the injustice continues. So speak up and get something solved. Right. Thank you very much. Right.
Fantastic. And the truth of the matter is, I have never seen an ordinary Nigeria that we say, oh, I think the government is great. I think the Nigerian people, both men and women, it's time to unite. It's not a gender fight. It is a fight for good governance. It is not a tribal fight. It is a fight for Nigerian safety and peace. It is not a religious fight, as they tell us. It is a fight for the Nigerian people. Men and women, it's time to look, because if you're like, Natasha, she is a woman, she deserves it. These women are too wild. If you accept and approve injustice on others, wait, it's just a matter of time. It will happen to you. If you reject and insist that injustice should be checkmated and hold our leaders accountable, it's just a matter of time. You will benefit from accountability. A fight for Natasha, justice for Natasha, standing with Natasha is a fight for Nigeria. Nigeria, the governments have taken us for a stupid people. They have divided us with tribe. They've divided us with religion. They have divided us with ethnicity. They have divided us with gender. It's time to unite as one citizen and demand accountability from our government. I will say thank you very much. Let us dance and go. Remember the petition. Remember the petition. Remember the petition and sign the petition. It is on the page. Sign it and share it. Share the petition, because it's time that we need international community to look into the affairs of the citizens. Thank you very much. Let us dance and close. I'm looking for Tete Nunola. You are smiling. Are you smiling because you... Are you smiling? Oh dear me, I don't know what I've done. I think I've cut off Madam Majorie. Are you smiling because of you want to dance Tete Nunola?
Disconnected.
Disconnected. That's fine. If you're not prepared to dance, that's fine. Otherwise, you can dance for the family members as well. Okay. Yes, we have to go. We have to go. This Tete Nunula now serious difficult song. The song hard, no be small. It is hard to dance, but we have to go. It is over an hour and a half, and I want to say thank you, Aminat. Thank you, Dorcas. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Christiana. Thank you, Olua, Ayolua. Thank you, Patience. Thank you for tuning in. And I want to say that in our mind, thank you, Abraham, is always in my mind. And my destiny is definitely in my own hands, and so is yours. Remember, sign the petition. Sign the petition. Share the petition. We are going to do a giveaway on the petition. Watch out tomorrow. I'll be live to talk to you about it. Bye-bye for now. See you tomorrow.